everybody, I'm Merisusheep, and thank you so much for checking out this video. And today I am drawing Janet Van Dyne, aka the Wasp, from one of my favorite TV shows of all time, The Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. And oh my goodness, I really do love this show. I've always loved it ever since I was a kid when it came out, watching it pretty much from day one. But I haven't seen it in a long time, and I got tired of watching Young Justice for the 100th millionth time, so I decided to go back and give this a check. And like I said, I always liked it, but after rewatching it, I really do like it. It is perfect. Peak superhero TV. I love it. And of course, I had to draw one of the characters, and I decided to go with Wasp. One, because she's a female and they're easier for me to draw than any of the male characters. And two, she just has an adorable design. Fun fact, I actually did draw Wasp a long time ago. It was a traditional drawing. Don't bother looking for it. It's gone. I nuked it from the internet myself because it was really poor quality. It was back when I did the old 3DS trick, and if you don't know what the 3DS trick is, don't ask. It's too long to explain here. So, yeah. Also, I think I used copyright music in it. I used the opening theme inside of it, and I didn't want to. I sped it up to avoid copyright, but YouTube was starting to get wise to that trick, and I didn't want to wait to see if it would get struck down. So I deleted it before they could. And like I said, poor quality, so it wasn't worth trying to save, like, you know, removing the music and stuff. But it was like I said, rewatching the show, and I really wanted to give her a try again, and I did not succeed. If you think this is the drawing, don't. It's not. I end up nuking this from orbit too, because there's just something that was not turning out right with this. I'm not sure if it was the way I had the skirt or the shoes. Side little rant that I want to go on. Wasp is the only female in the entire show who does not wear high heels. Like Captain Marvel, Black Widow, Mockingbird, Madam Viper, they all wear high heels. Maria Hill. And I'm fine with superhero females, supervillains wearing high heels. Got no issue with that. I just find it funny that she doesn't, because if we were to be realistic, well, if we were to be realistic, then none of this would be possible at all. But if we were to be realistic, she would be able to get away with it more easier because she doesn't walk or run, she flies. So I just found that a little bit funny. But anyway, on to the drawing. Like I said, the pose just wasn't working out, so I got to the point of where I was doing the base coloring, and then I started doing the shading, and then I realized, nope, not gonna happen. So I try again. Usually I would cut this out, but I figured it'd be more interesting if I left it in. And it was just like, at the beginning of this drawing, nothing was really working out. At first I put it on pause just because I started a princess drawing. It was that Speedpaint that I came out with just last week, I think. And I put it on pause to finish that one since I did start that one before this. And I figured, you know, finish your old projects before you start new ones. And then I was supposed to come out with this by the beginning of this week, but I ended up getting sick. You can still hear me recovering. That's why I sound weirder than I usually do. And it was such a drag, too, because I had my entire schedule all planned out. I finished the Wasp drawing at the beginning of the week, and then I work on Revolution full color, and then do some things that I had to work on in real life, and none of it just happened because I got sick, so that sucks. But in the end, after I got past those hiccups, I managed to finish this drawing, and I was pretty proud of it. I actually have the speed painting running a little bit slower than usual, and that's also another reason why I left in this beginning part, was because I wanted this speed paint to be a decent length of time, because I want to spend this time talking about the TV show, and that's what I'm gonna do. So, like I said at the beginning, I absolutely love this TV show. I've pretty much been watching it from day one, all the way back when it aired on Disney XD. Does anyone remember Disney XD? It was kind of a platform they had for their more boy TV shows. I kind of find it funny that Disney's doing that less. Like, they don't really make anything specifically for boys or girls outside of their Disney princesses, really. And, yet they did have Disney XD, and it was more targeted towards boys. but I don't think they like doing that anymore because they think it's like gatekeeping the girls. But I mean, like, I watched Disney XD and I was a very girly girl. I loved the Disney princesses, but it didn't stop me from watching the TV shows. I liked a lot of them on there, and one of my favorites was this one. And okay, so I say that I was there from day one, but by the time I got to watching it, the episode Breakout was coming out. So for those who don't know, this show originally aired in like shorts, and then those shorts were then put into the first 5 episodes, and those 5 episodes were focusing on introducing you to your main characters. So Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Hulk, and then Ant-Man. And then sometimes it would kind of shift to then focusing on a different character. So with the Iron Man, they introduced like obviously Pepper and Rhodey, but they also introduced Hydra and Fury. And then Captain America one, they then introduced Kang, and I'm trying to remember what happened in what episode because they all kind of ran together. I forget what else. Thor episode, definitely don't remember what happened in that one. I should have rechecked some of these things. It's been a while. I've been rewatching the show, and it's already been a while since I've seen the first 5 episodes. And then for the Hulk episode, they introduce Hawkeye and Black Widow at the end of that, and it kind of shifts from Hulk's story to Hawkeye's. And then for Ant-Man, they introduce Ant-Man, Wasp, and then it shifts to Black Panther's story. And I really think that's actually a really good way to introduce the characters. I think my biggest problem with this series, but it's also something that I do like, is that it does just throw you into these characters. Like, it doesn't really give you any backstory to them, with the exception of Black Panther and Captain America, because their backstories happen with the series. But Iron Man, know nothing about. Hulk, know nothing about. Thor, I would have probably known a little bit more about if I paid attention to Norse mythology, but I was a Greek girl in school, so I didn't know anything about Norse mythology. Plus, I don't know anything, like, about how much his comic book devolves from the actual Norse mythology, because that's another thing, too. I'm not really a comic book girl. I absolutely love superheroes, don't get me wrong. I really do enjoy superheroes. But I'm not a comic book reader, and it's not because I have anything against comic books. It's just that when I was younger, there was no real comic book store around me, and, well, if there was, I didn't go to any of them because my mom took me everywhere that I went, and she wasn't taking me to any comic book stores. So when I did go to places that had comic books, like Barnes & Nobles and the library, the only comic books that I looked at was this DC Ultimate Character Guide, and they also had one for Marvel. Me and my brother looked at those quite often. And I would occasionally look at some of the older comic books too, but they had a little too... The ones that I was always picking up were a little too violent, so they didn't interest me. And then when I did get older, I was like, well, where do you start? Yes, I was one of those comic book people that was deterred off from comic books because they don't know where Volume 1 is. That's why I liked manga so much better. Volume 1's like, that you know exactly where to start. I know a lot of people will probably say, it's not that hard, just do some research, blah, 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 blah. I know. Just, that's what it is. I actually do own 2 comic books now. Well, not the comic book versions. I own the, like, graphic novels where they put, like, the volumes of the comic book together. It's Batman the Court of Owls and Batman Hush. And if you notice, those are both Batman comic books, because that's another thing, too. If I did read any comic books, it wasn't any Marvel ones. Like, I have seen a few comic books, but they've always been DC ones because I've been more of a DC girl. I've seen a lot of the DC TV shows, like, even in, like, the DC TV animated universe, like, by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini. The only shows that I haven't seen are Zeta Project and Static Shock. Yes, I know I haven't seen Static Shock. I was gonna get around to it, but HBO took it off. And I've seen pretty much all of those, though. Seen almost all the movies. Getting around to seeing anyone that I missed. And I've been watching Batman and Super Friends pretty much since I was watched the Batman since the air date, and watched Super Friends when I think I was 7. So yeah, DC always been a big part of my life. And Marvel, I didn't really know anything about until this TV show. The only Marvel TV shows that I watched I have watched a lot of Spider-Man TV shows. I don't think I've seen everyone, but I have seen a lot of them. And I've seen a few random episodes of the 90s Avengers TV show. And I think one episode and a couple of clips of the 90s X-Men. But I haven't really seen anything past that. So I didn't really... And even was the 90s Avengers show. I saw that after I saw this. When it went in hiatus for a while, so I already saw, like, the opening. So if you are like me and you know nothing about these characters, that kind of sucks, because it's like, I would have liked to have known Iron Man's backstory. I knew a little bit about Iron Man, because I did definitely knew who these heroes were, because I was informed by my bomb pops that my mom got, and we all know that popsicles are the best way to learn about superheroes. So my brother kind of explained to me who they were. Iron Man was kind of like Batman. Captain America was surprisingly the one I knew the most about. And he, of course, was someone who fought Nazis, and I knew a little bit about the Red Skull, and then I knew that he got frozen in ice and came to the future. But that was just, like, very vague stuff. Knew nothing about Thor, and with Hulk, I knew that he kind of had a whole Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde thing kind of going on with Bruce Banner and the Hulk, but I didn't know his name was Bruce, and I didn't know anything past that, and absolutely nothing about any of the other characters. Like I said, going in completely blind. Like, at the time when this show came out in 2010, the only MCU movies were out were Iron Man 1 and 2 and Hulk, and I didn't even get around to watching any MCU movie until, like, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, I think, was coming out, and that's when my brother went back and he watched all of the MCU movies prior to that, and then I got into it, like, not too long after that, and I really did enjoy them. But that said, I didn't see those until later on. So I was going completely in blind to the show, but at the same time, I don't remember it really upsetting me. I think a part of me did really enjoy it because it really does just throw you into this environment. It's kind of like My Hero Academia, where this is a world where, hey, superheroes exist. They're just a thing. And they've always been a thing. And we have supervillains, and we have government agencies who don't like superheroes, or they're trying to recruit superheroes, or they make supervillains. Like, it's always one of those things. And I kind of really did enjoy how this was just it felt like a very lived-in world. So even though I wish I would have gotten some backstory to these characters, like, just to kind of figure out who they were, like, what made them them, I definitely feel like the show still felt very real. That said, even though I didn't have any of these characters' backstories, the show's writing definitely still made me know who these characters were. I had a strong sense of their personalities, their power set, and just what type of hero they were. Iron Man was the rich dude who was kind of full of himself, but at the same time, he was definitely capable of taking down bad guys, and you could see why he thought he was the only one who could do it, and why he thought he had to do it alone because of the burden that he had in the past. Thor, you're very much of an ancient type of heroes from the old legends of old, and he's got very much more older ideas, but at the same time, those definitely do come in handy when taking down some of these types of threats, because sometimes you just need the kind of old way. Captain America, your hero of honor, and very much a traditional World War II American hero, but very much still capable of taking out the bad guys. You have Hulk, who's basically trying to prove to the world that he's not a monster, and you have his alter ego Bruce, who basically lays dormant just to help prove that point that Hulk isn't a monster. And my like for Bruce Banner has nothing to do with my weird taste in men. Okay, that's a lie. You have Hawkeye, who's the betrayed S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, so he's definitely got the same sense of heroism, but is a little bit different because he is an agent, not a hero. You have Black Panther, who's got the tragic backstory and the fact that his dad was slain right in front of him, and then his kingdom was stolen by a tyrannical dictator. Like, wow. And then you have Ant-Man, who is a scientist and a pacifist and a hypocrite. Like, oh my goodness, he keeps saying violence shouldn't be the first solution. Okay, you genetically engineered your girlfriend to shrink small and shoot out biostingers, which can slice through concrete and at least irritate the Hulk. Like, yeah, why did you do that if violence wasn't the answer? Like, you could say maybe they're not lethal, but still. Oh my goodness. And then he has the idea of putting criminals into a prison that's super small, and then when that fails stupendously, he then creates a prison inside a pocket dimension, which is completely closed off from humanity, so they're just trapped with no contact with any person outside of Hank's weird Ultron robots. So that doesn't sound very humane. And then you have his girlfriend, Wasp, who I absolutely love. She's always been my favorite character, and honestly, she was my favorite just because she was the only girl. It was that simple back then. I mean, not all the time did I like the only girl character in a show, but if there was only one girl character, then she already had at least one thing in her ballpark going for her. It didn't hurt that she also had a very cute design, and I really do like her character. You can tell that she is someone who's just trying to do better and wants to be more than just the party girl on the circuit, but she actually wants to help people. And I actually like the fact that she's the one who tells Hank, hey, we have the ability to do something. Like, she actually has the Peter Parker mindset of with great power comes great responsibility, and it's Hank who's just like, nope, we'll just leave it to the ever people, leave it to someone else. And she's like, hey, if you don't want to do that, then at least do something. Like, do something. She deserves better than Hank, and not because he's really that abusive in this one, just because he's an annoying pacifist who's also a hypocrite. But that said, I don't mind Ant-Man. I do like him. Like, I definitely don't agree with his mindset, but I still enjoyed his character, and I enjoyed the episodes with him. And I really did like how the episodes were done. So now that I've talked about the characters, I think I'll talk a little bit about the episodes. So after the introductory episodes, you then have the breakout, which, like I said at the beginning, that was my first episode. I went back and rewatched the introductory episodes. I forgot when I saw those. Like, I forgot if it was like right after the breakout or if it was if I saw a few other episodes after that and then went back. I'm not sure. Doesn't matter. But after the breakout, then you have some episodes just kind of setting up the Avengers. I literally like how the next episode is called Some Assembly Required, because they're kind of not the best at the whole team thing. I like what Hank says. We're not a team. We're just strangers who came together, and they really do feel like that. Like, they are all very different in their personalities and very different in how they fight, and they all have different ideas of how to be a hero, and it really does show. But at the same time, they can still put those differences aside when the chips are down and get things done. So after you get the introductory episodes of, like, you know, the assembly of the team, Hulk then goes away for a while, because I noticed that a lot. He kind of just goes away for a while. I think maybe it's because he's too powerful and they don't know how to always keep him in check, and they're like, okay, we can't have Hulk here because it would just be an instant win, so we gotta get rid of him. Or, I don't know. But so Hulk goes away for a while, then Captain America joins, and then you have like a few episodes, well, just one actually, Everything is Wonderful, where you learn what type of man Tony is. And I really do like that episode because it does really show what type of person Tony is, because you have Simon just sitting, aka Wonder Man, Simon Williams. He's like, Tony, you're ruining my life. And he's like, yeah, I'm ruining your life. Oh, wait, what? It's lack of communication, folks. Communication is very, very, very important. So then Simon goes off the deep end and becomes Wonder Man, and it doesn't go well. And then he ends up getting thrown into the arc reactor just to live. And Tony was like, yeah, I took over his company, but I did it to save it because it was gonna go under. I wanted to work with him. It's like, well, you could have maybe said that a little bit faster, but in Tony's defense, Simon also wasn't in a listening mood. So I really did like that. And then after that, you have the Black Panther episode, Panther's Quest. And what I really like about that episode is because, like I keep saying for the millionth time, I knew nothing about these characters, but in just one episode, it won me over. It was the Black Panther. He was really cool. He had cool powers. He was kind of like, reminded me a lot of Batman, but at the same time, very different, obviously. But I liked the sense of tragedy with his father dying and his need for revenge, but he does, you know, do the heroic thing and just take down Man-Ape. And also, I liked the side villain, Claw. Black Panther's also got a lot of moments where he's just kind of snarky. Like, he totally tricks Hawkeye into thinking that he's gonna die because he ends up eating some, like, cream that he made, and he said, oh, this isn't something that we eat, this is just something applied to our face, and it's toxic to anybody who's not a royal. And Hawkeye's trying to get it out of his mouth, and Black Panther's just smiling because he totally played him. And it's just like things like that I just loved about him. I would say probably he's my third or fourth favorite character. Maybe even my second. Like, he definitely is up there. I really did enjoy him. Then after that, you have Gamma World. That episode scared me. Like, no joke. I did not like it's the same thing with The Batman. There's an episode called Strange World, where the idea of just turning into zombie monsters and the air not safe to breathe. This is why I can't go in space or underwater. Like, the idea of you being confined to a place and knowing that the outside world isn't safe for you. Like, you'll literally die. Like, there's no, doing this or that. You're dead. You go out in space, you're dead. You go out in the middle of the ocean, when you're underneath it, you're dead. And that's just terrifying me. So it actually took me a while to like this episode. The only parts I liked were the parts with Hawkeye and Bruce. But I really do like it now. Like, I didn't really care for Hulk when I was younger, mainly because I found him big, ugly, and scary. But as an adult, I definitely like his character a lot more. And I just think it's really nice to see a character who's, you know, mistreated, and everyone thinks he's a monster, but despite that, he still does his best to be a hero. Plus, I like it when he gets mad and just smashes things. I like that even when I was a girl. And then, after that, you have the Masters of Evil, where a whole bunch of supervillains try to take over the Avengers mansion and almost succeed in that. And, I find it funny that they just call themselves the Masters of Evil. Like, I kind of just like, I used to kind of cringe at that stuff when I was younger, but I think one thing that really changed my mind to how this was done was with, My Hero Academia, because it just kind of made me embrace some of the more campier things about superheroes and stuff. It's like, oh, this stuff is actually cool. I better speed it up a little bit because I realized where I was in the time stream of this video. So after that, just kind of skipping past the next episodes, you have the Kang arc, which is about 2 episodes, and I really do love how Kang was done. Nothing like what the MCU does with him. Like, oh my goodness. I love his character, and I love his arc. And I think he's just basically someone who's trying to save the world by conquering it. That is very funny. Then you have, after that, the Ultron arc, which is probably my favorite. I'm calling these arcs, but these are usually like just 2-parters. And I absolutely loved Ultron. He was so cool and terrifying and really powerful. And I like how Hank takes him down. And then you have the Fall of Asgard, which was my least favorite arc when I was a kid, even below Gamma World, because I just didn't really enjoy Thor that much. I still don't enjoy Thor a lot. Like, I do like him a lot. There isn't a single character in this I hate. I like all of them. There's just some I like more. But with Thor, I still find him kind of the most boringest, but at least he's still very cool and has a lot of epic moments, so there's that. And then you have, well, actually, after the Kang arc, the show went on hiatus for a long time, so me and my brother were just waiting forever. And then after the Fall of Asgard, there was another hiatus. It lasted for a really long time, from 2011 to 2012, so 1 year of nothing. And when you're a kid, that is a long time. And it just like, why? And I think during that time I went back and watched a few random episodes of the 90s Avengers, but just, I think, the one with Ultron in it. It wasn't anything else. And then we finally get season 2, and you open up strongly with Doctor Doom. I'm just going to say this about the Fantastic Four movie that's going to come out this year. It's got a very high bar. I'm not sure if I'm gonna see it, to be honest. I'm gonna wait to whatever people say about it before I go to see it, because I got like limited funds and even more limited time. I'm not gonna waste my time being stupid. And then you have the whole Skrull arc. Now that is an arc in the fact that it lasts more than just 2 episodes, and oh my goodness, the Skrull thing was very, very fun. Oh, you also have Ant-Man quitting because he's a quitter. And you have the Guardians of the Galaxy also involved. And the Guardians of the Galaxy are very different from how they are in the MCU. I do like the MCU ones, I'm not gonna lie. I like, I forgot his name. Chris Pratt. I like Chris Pratt's interpretation of Star-Lord. It's got more of a character than this Star-Lord. It's very more of your traditional kind of stiff, heroic man. But I don't think there's anything wrong with this version of Star-Lord either. They're just different, so it's kind of like, take your poison. Which one do you like? And I really do like the Guardians in this. I find it funny that they didn't do Quasar and they did Gamora. That's one thing that I always found interesting. And then, like I said, you have the Skrull episodes, and you have the whole entire thing with Surtur being alluded to was Ford's side of the thing. Skrull Captain America leaves poor Bruce and Hulk out to dry and betrays them, like, and they don't get him back for a while. Like, you guys just forget about that? Like, even when the Skrull thing just gets resolved, they're like, well, he's still not back, still not back, still not back, and then, like, the 3rd episode before the last, they finally get him back, and it's like, took you long enough. I'm just gonna blame American bureaucracy for that, because it does imply that they had to go through a lot to get him back, because the government didn't want to release him. Or, to be more precise, General Ross didn't want to release him, which, also, another thing to the MCU, why would you reveal that General Ross is the Red Hulk? You could say, well, people already read the comic book, so they already know. It's like, you've never done that before. Never. Like, there are a lot of things that, oh, if I read the comic books, I would know. But I didn't read the comic books, so I didn't know. You do make your things for the normies who don't know anything, but you just revealed that. Like, that is awful. That's why I didn't go to see it. I haven't seen any movie of past Endgame outside of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That one was good, but none of the other ones interest me. I'm gonna say something right off the bat. This show, better than the MCU. Like, I'm not gonna count the Marvel movies I haven't seen. So the Marvel movies I haven't seen are the original Hulk, Black Panther. It just didn't interest me as much as this version of the Black Panther. Captain Marvel, who I absolutely hate. Because that's another thing that this show actually does. It introduces Miss Marvel. And I love Miss Marvel. Carol Danvers, when she's Miss Marvel, she's nice, she's strong, she's heroic, she can have moments where she's grateful, she actually looks up to men and not is breaking their hands for, like, no real reasons. And yeah, like I said, I've just never seen Captain Marvel, and everything that I have seen of it just makes me glad I haven't seen Captain Marvel. So, moving on. Miss Marvel, all the way, folks. She's way better. And then after you have the whole Hulk scenario, you have the Skrull invasion, and that goes along, and then it's kind of the cleanup after the Skrull. So you have Spider-Man introduced, and Vision. You have Loki trying to make his attack again, and then Ultron comes back for a while, and then Hank becomes Yellow Jacket because he kind of goes off the deep end. And then you have the Purple Man, which kudos to the actors for saying Purple Man straight all the way through and not, like, never once not taking itself seriously. Like, they treat it for what it is. Like, I think they make a few jokes at his expense, but if this was the MCU, they would be making all of the jokes. I think that's what I was going to say, but then I ended up losing my train of thought, is even the MCU movies that I like I like Iron Man actually more than Batman. Despite being a DC girl, I like Iron Man 2008 better than the Christopher Nolan Batman films, or any live-action Batman film. I really do enjoy the first Iron Man. It is on top. I actually kind of headcanon that Iron Man story to be this Iron Man's origin, because it just kind of fills in the blanks. But one reason why I even like that Iron Man so much is because he reminded me of this Tony. And yeah, this Tony came out after that Iron Man. It was Robert Downey Jr. playing him, so it was probably the other way around, that they based that Tony off of Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of him. But because of that, it just kind of like, hey, he actually looks like the Iron Man I saw in the TV show, so that made me really liking it. So I really do like the first Iron Man, but with and I like Captain America a lot. I like Winter Soldier a lot. I didn't actually care for Civil War that much. I need to rewatch that movie. Same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. I remember not liking them at the first time I watched them, but I've only seen them once, so maybe if I rewatch them, I'll like them more. But with the exception of, like, maybe Iron Man and maybe Captain America, definitely Iron Man, maybe Captain America, which are ones that would be, like, on the top of my list, I just think that this version of the Avengers is so much better. I like how they're done. I think it takes itself a little bit more seriously. There isn't moments where everything's got to be broken off with a bad joke, and I like how it introduces its villains more, and I like how it handles its characters more. I just think it's better. And yeah, it's a TV show, and it's for kids, but I don't think that makes it any worse. It's just different, and I really do like how this version is. It reminds me of the classic TV show with Justice League, and it really does give the same vibe off of that, and I think it's just as good as Justice League. And then, so going back to the plot, after that, you then have the finale with Galactic, and then it got canceled. Like, every single show I liked in the past just seemed to get canceled, and I always hated it. Why? Why do they always get canceled? But whatever, it's just something that happens. But I do remember, I haven't actually watched the ending, so I've rewatched the entire show, but as of right now, I still haven't watched the last two episodes, so I can't really give my opinion on it. But from what I remember, they at least didn't end it completely vague. Like, there was definitely things that weren't wrapped up. Like, I think Surtur isn't even addressed at all. In fact, I know he isn't, so they were probably going to do that in season 3. So in season 3, I would have liked if they handled Surtur. I also would have liked if they went back. And so going back to my beginning complaint, I wish we would have gotten backstories. I wish maybe season 3 would have been dedicated to having a few backstories for Hulk, for Iron Man, for Hawkeye, for Thor. I guess maybe Thor would be the one we need to know the least about, because it's pretty straightforward on what he is. But the rest of them would have been nice to get some more detail. Definitely was Wasp and Ant-Man. I think it would have been fun just to get something, like, just little indications. It doesn't have to be a full episode. But that's pretty much the TV show, and in the end, I probably give it, like, a 9 out of 10. That's another thing I wanted to say real quick, is the animation. The animation of the show is awesome. I love this art style. It's very stylized and different, but then again, that's just kind of how the way TV shows were back then. Like, Kim Possible didn't look like the Avengers didn't look like Justice League didn't even look like Batman the Animated Series, and they took place in the same universe. Like, the only shows that I know that looked like exactly alike were Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, but even then, it didn't look totally alike, because for some reason, they dull out the color scheme in Justice League Unlimited. Everything's got a gray tint to it. I don't get it. But so many shows just looked different back then. Again, Teen Titans looked nothing like Young Justice. And it was just, I miss that unique style. And I like this art style a lot. And I think that the animation, like the actual movement and stuff, I think it's really good. Like, one person said, oh, you just want all animation to be anime, and you can't name any good animation outside of anime. It's like, no, the only reason why I talk about anime being the only animation is because this is the only animation that's really good right now. I'm not saying that there isn't anything currently. I mean, Arcane, season 1 was great. Arcane season 2 was still animated great. And so there are definitely exceptions, but it's just anime is the one that's primarily doing it. And I don't need everything to be anime. Like, I love Kimetsu no Yaiba. Kimetsu no Yaiba's got amazing animation. It's the animation that made me watch the show. But at the same time, I don't need everything to be Kimetsu no Yaiba. I'm fine with just this. Like, people say, it's like, you're so picky. It's like, no, I'm not. I just want something. I just want what I had. I don't want something new. I just want what I had. Is that so much to ask? But no. We can't have nice things, because I was recently rewatched the new Spider-Man TV show, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and it was bad. I didn't like it at all. The one problem I noticed with so many modern TV shows, so 3 of them all had the same problem: Cape Crusader, My Adventures with Superman, and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. They all have the same problem. Well, it was Cape Crusader, I can't fully judge. I've only saw the first 2 episodes. After that, I was like, I like Batman too much. I'm not putting myself through this. But it was My Adventures with Superman. I've only seen season 1. I haven't got around to seeing season 2 yet. But I've seen clips. And one big problem I noticed with season 1, only judging season 1, and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and the first episode of Cape Crusader, is that they focus more on the side characters and just the everyday life. And I'm like, I know where they got this from. I think it's like from them watching too many episodes of My Hero Academia. Like, they literally turned Superman to Deku. Superman's not Deku. He's got some similarities. Deku's got similarities to Superman, but he's not Deku. He's not that type of character. But they turned him into Deku. They even make him glow up like Deku. So I don't like that. But My Hero Academia does have a lot of moments where it just does, quote-unquote, the comfort stuff of showing the characters going through everyday life and stuff like that, and shows them just hanging out and shows their friends, and that's what every single TV show just needs. And by every single one, I mean those free ones. It just seems like they're all trying to be that, and it's like they're not focusing on the fighting. Even My Hero Academia, from episode 1, the first thing it shows is fighting, because that's what people want to see in a superhero TV show. Like, it's people keep on saying, well, what do you want in your superhero shows? This is what I want. I want Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I want Spectacular Spider-Man. I want Young Justice. But we all know from Young Justice that when it continued, it didn't go so well. So maybe I don't want these shows to continue. Because I don't trust them to be handled right anymore. I just want, the same feeling. Like, I'm not a picky person, but at least we've got plenty of good shows in the past that we can always go back to. So there's that. Fun fact, I actually was watching this show around the same time as Young Justice, so it came out, and they were both happening pretty much at the same time, and they both suffered from long hiatuses of just nothing. That put me and my brother, Nora Vanguard, in agony, and we just hated waiting in suspense. But they were both shows that I really did like. And season 1 of Young Justice, like, season 2 is okay, season 3 and season 4 are awful. I do watch those seasons a lot, mainly because I got nothing else to do, and I'm like, okay, I'll just suffer for the stupid. But season 1 of Young Justice and season 1 and 2 of the Avengers, well, the entire Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes are, like, one of my favorite shows of all time. I think in the end, I probably like Young Justice a little bit more just because I'm more of the DC girl than a Marvel girl, but I think as a show, I kind of think that this is better. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it definitely doesn't have the quite same. So in Young Justice, there's this big overarching story that all makes all the episodes practically connected and such, and there's this big theme that they still haven't gotten to the end of, whatever. But you can tell it's a big narrative story, and there's a lot more melodrama, for lack of better words, in it, despite it because, you know, it stars teenagers. Teenagers are melodramatic. But that said, I still do really like Young Justice, but I think one thing I like about Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes is it's adult heroes. I actually like shows with adult heroes a lot. I think that's kind of funny because a lot of times people will put in a teenager like Robin or Jubilee to relate more to the youth, but they don't understand what the youth enjoy are, like, the adults. Like, I love the adult heroes, and I like that these characters act like adults, and I think it's just something that makes it very well written. So yeah, that's pretty much the way I feel about Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and that's also the drawing. I'm pretty much coming up with the end. There's some scenes where I definitely missed out because I pushed pause and forgot to resume, or moments where I ended up pushing play. I just haven't been with it, folks. There's just something, I need to get back into the swing of things, but it probably won't be for a while because after this I am going to work on Revolution of Full Color because I want to try to make my own stories, and I think it's finally time I get back to Revolution of Full Color. It would have been a lot sooner, but what can we say? I got sick, and we can't help that. I guess I could have worked while I was sick, but whatever. I don't do so well. Like, when I was younger, I used to do better when I was sick, or maybe I just got really sick this time. I don't know, but I just like, nope. I can't do anything. I tried. Just let me be. I didn't even turn on my computer for the last day I got sick. I just rested as much as I possibly could. I did what was necessary, but I didn't do anything that was unnecessary. Because it just wasn't happening, folks. It just wasn't happening. I'm thinking if there's anything else that I wanted to say about the drawing before I leave. I would say that I had a lot of fun coloring her wings and her costume. That's, like, I love Wasp design. I said that like 1,000 times in this. Well, not literally 1,000, but I said it a lot. And I knew going into it would be really fun to draw with the wings. That's why I drew the first pose the way I did, because I really wanted to show off the back of her dress and her wings and stuff, but like I said, it wasn't working out. And in the end, I came up with this pose, and the arm's a little weird, but outside of that, I really am happy with it. I really like how I done the textures on the black part of the dress. The yellow parts of the dress could have been a little bit better, and I could have done a little bit better on the headset, but whatever. We just gotta take what we can get, folks. But the hair also could have been better. I was trying to go for, like, originally I was going for like a much more softer coloring style, like what Ross Draws does, but it just wasn't working out. So in the end I went for a more thicker, bolder kind of painty look, if that makes sense. But anyway, that's pretty much the drawing. If you liked that and my sorry excuse of a review, then do all the YouTube things. If you didn't like, thank you for watching this far. Anyway, it means a lot either way, and I will be back with another Speedpaint, hopefully by April. Hopefully in April. I like to at least do one Speedpaint. Like, I try to aim for 2 Speedpaints per month, but at the very least, I try to do at least one in the month. So there will be another one coming out in April, Lord willing. But after that, there won't be, until then, though, there won't be anything for a while because I am going to take a break and do Revolution Full Color. So it might be a while, like in the middle of April, until I do it. So until then, Oh, wait, I do have one personal project that I'm going to come out with. So I do have that I need to finish up. So there will be a personal project, and then after that, there won't be a speed paint until April, and I'll see where everything goes from there. So until then, bye!
Spread with every word that I've said.